taxes, that would be remarkable, but I'm not saying that. Okay? I'm not getting 51% of any minerals. Okay? Let me explain to you what the 51% is. The 51%, the reason it was done was for one purpose, or two purposes really. What it was done for, like the attorneys say, there has to be one person in charge. If you have a bunch of people in charge, you're never going to come to a decision. But granted, there's three people that sit within the LLC of Galan. Okay? It's myself, it's Chris Hackler, and it's Irma Manzanares. Irma Manzanares is in charge of the vet record. Chris Hackler is in charge of Leonardo. I'm in charge of Maria Encarnacion. So we have those three groups. Those are our three family branches. Okay? The other two people have 24.5% apiece. Okay? I have 51%. Okay? The reason I have 51% is because of what's happening right now. Because of somebody coming to sue us. If I have 51%, the only person they can sue is me. They can't sue the rest of the trust. Only me. That is the reason I have the 51% because of what happened on Friday. Okay? That is the main reason why that's occurring. And we have to make sure that we understand that because we don't want anybody here to have that happen to them. And that's the reason why we have that 51%. It doesn't mean that I'm going to get all the money. It has nothing to do with that. All it means is we make sure that nobody can come after you. Now, the other two people that sit on the LLC, they have what's called members' rights. Basically, they are a check and balance against me. If I go off the deep end, because I say, you know what, I'm going to take everybody's money and I'm going to run with it. They have a duty to protect you also. And what they can do is they can sue me for anything that I do wrong. They have that ability. And they have an ability to cease the trust and freeze it until it's decided what happens. Because I can't do anything bad. And it's set up that way as a check and balance, is what it's set up for. So because of that, we make sure that that's in there, that I can't just run rampant and do what I want. That's the reason we have that also. So there's always going to be a check and balance within there. The next part, go ahead and say this, no change.
No sé si la familia ha escuchado algunas, pues que no son verdades, rumores, mitos, de que el señor Pabli tiene, mentiras, que el señor Pabli tiene 51% poder en la organización, porque él se va a quedar con el 51% del dinero. Y él dice, bueno, es que si así fuera, que Pabli. No, esa no es la razón por qué él tiene el 51%. La razón, una vez más, es que porque si se sienta la demanda que ya se sentó, él es el único que pueden demandar. No pueden demandar a la organización y a las familias que están incluidas en la organización, porque siempre tiene que haber una cabeza. Entonces, hay dos otras personas que representan las dos otras entidades de la familia Galán. Esas personas tienen el 24.5% de interés en la organización. ¿Y por qué tienen ese interés? Una vez más, para la protección de la misma familia, de la misma organización. Porque aquí si el señor Pabli decide, no, yo agarro todo el dinero, me voy, los dejo, que Dios los bendiga. No se puede. Porque esas otras dos personas que tienen el 24.5%, cada uno, tienen que proteger a la organización y tienen que proteger a la familia. Entonces ellos tienen que sentar una demanda, no una demanda, sino que ya no se puede hacer nada hasta que no se determine qué va a pasar y hasta que no, me imagino, se pueda demandar al Señor que le regrese su porción. Por eso están sentados así, de esa manera, de esa distribución.
And another reason why is because of what we call depositions. I don't know if anybody knows what a deposition is, but basically a lawyer or a bunch of lawyers will sit you in a room for about 6 hours, and they are allowed to ask you anything they want that happened that day, or that happened to you in your life, or anything they want. They basically have opening questioning. And what I mean by this is, think of it this way, and this also refers back to past history. Back in 1941 and 31, we had 186 people sue the state of Texas. Those 186 people sued the state, and all 186 were asked to be deposed. Remember when I went back and told you how we ran out of money? Well, back then, when you depose somebody, it was only like $150, okay? Now when you depose somebody, it's about anywhere from $1,200 to $1,800 per person to be deposed. And the state won't pay that. We have to pay that. Even though they're deposing us, we got to pay them to question us. Tell me what sense that makes. That makes no sense. But there's a reason for it. So by us forming our organization the way we formed it, we're able to get around that. Because if it would have been equally on top, where it was 33 and a third, 33 and a third, and 33 and a third, with all three of us from the three families, we all would have had equal value. So basically that doesn't protect the trust. Because why? There's not a majority person in the LLC. Basically, we're all trustees, and because of that, we can all be deposed. All 600 of us can all be deposed. Now you can imagine, 180 people took 7 years. 7 years to depose, and they still had 70 people to go. So in 7 years, we ran out of money back in the 40s and 30s, and because of that, we had to drop the case. Can you imagine right now if we did that? We have over, in our group, 600 plus. To depose 600 plus people, $1,500 a person to depose them, we'd be done in a year. Because we don't have that money. I'm sorry, we don't have that money. And because of that, I guess you could say what we're doing behind us is our attorneys are making sure that we shut all the doors behind us before we go into the fight. And the reason why, if we can shut those doors, we don't let the state do anything adversely negative to us that causes us to have to stop and say, what do we do now? So if we can do that beforehand, that's why we set up the LLC and the trust the way we set it up, for those purposes, to make sure the state can say, oh, we're going to depose all those people that signed. There's a stack this big of papers that Alicia has in her house. We want all those papers, and we're going to depose everybody. The first thing Keith Brad is going to say, whoa, wait a minute. You can't depose everybody. They're going to say, why not? They're part of the case. Exactly, they are. But they have put somebody at the top to speak for them. And they're going to be like, who? And they're going to see the LLC, which says 51%. So then the judge is going to say, we only can do him. You can't do everybody else. Now, the other group, with what they did on Monday, they can all be deposed now. So do you see, if they stay attached to us, what's going to happen to us? They all can be deposed, and we're talking probably about 250 people. So do you see how it adversely affects our case if we are attached? Me is one, them is 250. Because they opened the door because of the way they did it. They didn't form an organization. They just said, you know what, we're suing. And now, because of that, they've already put their suit in. They can't go backwards and say, oh, now we have an organization. It doesn't work that way. So this is why we